anytime, someone makes an anti-reparations argument, almost 95% of the time, what undergirds that is the idea that one can have an a la carte approach to history. So Mitch McConnell would never say, George Washington died a long time ago, so therefore, we shouldn't, pay any attention to George Washington. We shouldn't have President's Day. He wouldn't say Thomas Jefferson died a long time ago, therefore, we shouldn't pay any attention to Thomas Jefferson. He wouldn't say that, there were treaties that were signed before any of us are alive, so therefore, we're out of those treaties. He wouldn't say that pensioners, who are still alive from, say, World War II, even though, the vast majority of us, weren't alive, to fight that war, should no longer have to pay. And so the very idea that history should not matter, if we were to apply that rule across the board and not just to reparations, it'd be tough to have a state in and of itself at all. Part of being part of a state is being responsible to things that you don't directly do, be they be things that happened across time and history, or be they things that happened across, time and space. My tax dollars goes to subsidize, highways that I may or may not make, utilization. That's what it means to be part of a state. The second, fallacy in that is that somehow the oppression of African Americans ended in 1865 and does not, extend up into the lifetime of Mitch McConnell, which I tried to make clear, during my testimony that, in fact, that is quite false. This would be an entirely different conversation had this country done in 1865, which what Frederick Douglass asked it to do, which is to let the enslaved, alone and let them prosper. That's not what happened. In fact, what followed was a 100-year, century-long terrorism campaign, which was backed by policy at the federal, state, and local level. The folks who suffered under those policies are very much alive today. And so one of the things I wanted to get to in the water dance, what I was tackling, was this idea that, you can be opportunistic about memory, that Hiram's father, who lives off of the slave labor of all of these, people, can remember the quote-unquote greatness of the folks that founded the plantation while ignoring what, all of that, wealth and greatness was actually based on in the first place, while ignoring, what he did, to this enslaved woman. That is a problem that I feel like is with us across the board. It's not just a race problem. It haunts all of our policy, this inability to grapple with history.